it, financial literacy turns uncertainty into opportunity and fear into freedom. Welcome to Money Matters, a program designed to equip you with knowledge and tools to make informed financial decisions. It is Global Money Week, also known as Financial Literacy Week in Zambia. This year's Financial Literacy Week is from 16th to 22nd March 2026. It will be commemorated under the theme Smart Money Talks. This week will bring together young people, communities, financial institutions, and stakeholders across the country to promote open conversations about money, build financial skills, and encourage informed financial decision making. On Money Matters, we are privileged to host Digital Self Limited Senior Consultant Mark Shower and Lusaka Security Exchange Business Development Manager, Madam Grace Soko. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We are delighted to have you in the Zani studios.
We're also excited.
It's a pleasure as well. Thank you for the invitation.
Okay. Just to begin with, Madam Soko, maybe you can interpret for us the theme for this year's Financial Literacy Week, which is Smart Money Talks as Lusaka Security Exchange. How do you interpret the theme?
So as the exchange, the theme actually resonates a lot with us. We interpret it in two ways. So on the one aspect, it's a call to action. When we talk about talking, I think we've grown up in a culture where money is something that's considered private. I think even in our own homes at home, it's an uncomfortable topic. We don't freely talk about money. But I think the theme this year encourages us to have a lot more conversations about what are we doing to save money? How are we investing it? And I think we've seen quite a lot in the news of scams and all these other, I would say, underhand financial tactics because there's not a lot of knowledge. So that's the call to action. We need to talk a lot more about money. And then there's the second aspect of smart money. So when you actually have that financial literacy knowledge, you're able to make smart investing decisions. Smart money moves means you're moving from saving into an investing space as well. Your money is now working for you. And we're very excited as the exchange to really put this theme into action.
Great. Mark?
I like what you said. One part that resonates with us as Digital Safe is around scams.
Yeah.
That's a really big problem, not only from a Zambia perspective, but globally. So as Digital Safe, our interpretation of Smart Money Talks is around secure data. Because how you secure your data will also ensure how you secure yourself financially. A lot of the times we find that we don't talk much around how can we be securing our information, what is true, what is not. But we find ourselves victims of mobile money scams or potentially fake investments. So for us, Digital Safe, it's really about understanding all the tricks that are happening out there and how you can secure yourself online.
Yep.
Okay. Chris, I know this week is packed Financial Literacy Week.
Yeah.
So what are some of the activities that as Lusaka Security Exchange, what are some of the activities that you've lined up?
So for this year, one of our key strategic objectives is to increase retail participation in the capital markets. We have earmarked the youth and obviously women as one of the key demographics that will unlock a lot more retail participation. So we've got a few university engagements that we've got lined up. We've got a public lecture at UNZA that's happening. We also have a public lecture at Cavendish, and the Luce will be at Mulungushi University in Kabwe for the first time over the weekend. So we're really trying to get the university students involved. And we've got a couple of secondary school engagements lined up as well. Our social media platforms are going to be full of information and a couple of webinars and videos. So keep an eye out, and I'm sure you'll see how busy we are as the exchange. Yeah.
Great. How is Luce also contributing to financial literacy in Zambia?
So for us, it's not just a one-week event. We do this throughout. It's part of our mandate as an exchange and as a regulator. We have targeted programs that we do. We are working on something very exciting that we're about to launch, which will give novice investors information straight from the regulator and straight from the capital market players. So please keep an eye out for that announcement. It's coming out soon. Also, we're encouraging our listed companies to share their stories. I think we have a lot of Zambian homegrown businesses .com Zambia being the latest that has listed. And we really feel that we need to make the exchange a lot more relatable to everyday Zambians. And when they interact with brands that they use daily and see a homegrown story like .com, where someone, Kopala Boy, went to the Wall Street, came back and listed on the Zambian Stock Exchange, that is an exciting story that a lot of people have related to. So we are trying to make the exchange a lot more relatable so that even youngsters can get in on it. And when we say youngsters, obviously even the young at heart count. So we're really trying to make it a lot more relatable so that more retail investors can get in. I think there's been a perception that for you to invest in the Luce, you need a finance degree or you need a large amount of money. So we've actually tried to make our communications a lot more easy, everyday language, simple explanations, and I think you will see that carry through even if you take a look at our social media campaigns.
Wonderful. Mark, as Digital Self Limited, what innovation strategies are you using to engage young people, especially that we are actually revolving technologically in financial literacy, especially in an area where digital platforms are dominating our lives?
That was a big mouthful. So I think one of our strategies is meeting people at a place where they're at. And what does that mean? So we engage with young schools. So this is like primary students, right? So you're looking at the pupils that you've got there. And nowadays, everybody's got a tablet. Everybody's got a cell phone. And it's about, do they actually understand good cybersecurity practices when they're online? You find so many instances of children taking pictures and uploading them online. You know, it's a funny thing, but they've uploaded something that they're doing at home, not realizing that that could potentially make not only them, but their families a target. So some of the innovative things that we do as Digital Safe is partner with schools to be able to bring the conversation of good digital cyber practices starting at a young age, because what we believe is that at a grassroots level, you're able to instill the right behaviors. You know, the way we were taught is, you know, don't accept candy from strangers.
Yeah.
And yet the interesting thing that we do digitally is we speak to so many strangers.
Yeah.
So what are the behaviors that need to be there? So as Digital Safe, we try to make sure that we're engaging with schools, with universities. In fact, some of the things that we want to try and do a lot is partner with the universities to be able to say, let's bring the conversation to that level where you're mature enough as well to understand. And I think it ties in quite well with the financial side. Yeah. Because I think, just as Grace has mentioned, is that you want to make the language simple when it comes to investments. But what does that mean now in terms of who should I invest with?
Yeah.
How do I know that they're legitimate or not? How do I know that where I'm putting my money, it's also being secure? You need that conversation happening, especially in the sector of education, because then that changes the narrative when they now move into either the government or the corporate space. Other things that we're also doing as Digital Safe, not just with the youth, I think it's also with corporations, is one, we talk about data protection, because I think that's the biggest thing that, for me, when I think of this theme, is securing your data. We work with organizations to make sure that they have the right data protection practices. And what does that mean? It's not just about compliance, but it's actually about protecting the information of our citizens. We need to make sure that that's in the right place. We need to make sure that that's localized. Why? Because the issue that arises now is if that gets lost, if that gets breached, then we've actually lost the heart of the Zambians. We've lost their information, which then can be used on the dark web. So we do a lot in terms of engagement with corporations to be able to say, let's look at your environment, let's do an assessment, let's make sure that your digital platforms are secure. And beyond security, they're resilient. Because the truth of the matter is that it's not about if you're going to get breached, it's when it happens. And you should be able to respond to that.
Okay, we now go on a short break. Stay tuned.
Zani's TV, the People's Channel, is now officially on DSTV. Starting 24th February 2026. Tune in on channel 274 DSTV and channel 29 GoTV. This marks a new chapter in delivering credible, national and people-centered programming to homes across Zambia and beyond. From news and national events to development stories and cultural programs, your channel just got bigger. Stay informed, stay connected, stay with Zandis TV.
Welcome back. In case you have just joined us, you are watching Money Matters, a program designed to equip you with the knowledge and tools to make informed financial decisions. I'm joined in the studio by the Digital Self Limited Senior Consultant, Mark Shawa, and Lusaka Security Exchange Business Development Manager, Madam Grace Soko. They are sharing how their organizations are supporting the government in educating individuals on financial literacy. Madam Grace, with the rise of digital platforms and fintech, how is LUSE adapting to ensure that Zambians can participate safely and efficiently in the capital market?
I think we can all agree that finance has changed. The way that you interact, the way that you transact has changed. We've now realized, even as the LUSE, that we can't be left behind. Technology is now the face of transactions. I think even when we look at stats regarding how much mobile money usage we have, it's always on the upward tick. So as the LUSE, we have embraced technology, and we do have a LUSE mobile app. We're very excited about it, and it's part of our strategy in increasing retail participation. We're just shy of 34,000 users, and we're hoping that the number will continue to grow as Zambians get more comfortable with the LUSE as well as with transacting online. The main push with this was we need to make the market more accessible, even for those who are not able to walk into a brick and mortar building for a broker. In line with what Mark has been talking about, data protection. How do we make sure that people are investing in securities in a secure way? So we are very alive to the fact that when you're talking about money, there are a lot of things that we need to do on the back end as well, just to make sure that our clients' information is safe. We do regular updates just to make sure. And we do have consultants on hand. Our app developers are always giving us little hints on how to make it a lot more safer and make it a better environment for everybody. And we're very excited about what we have rolled out. We've got a couple new products that you can expect to see during the course of the year. And all of this is just to make sure that investing can be done from anywhere, whether in your living room, whether at the office. As long as you've got a smartphone, you should be able to plug in. Yeah.
Awesome. Mark, many people are hesitant to actually adopt digital financial tools because of trust and accessibility concerns. So as your organization, how are you ensuring that financial literacy and digital inclusion reaches everyone?
Shucks. Another very big question. So I think tying into the word trust, I think it's at the heart of a lot of what we do. If any business is to thrive, you must trust in what they do. So as Digital Safe, that sits at the core of even our services. So I think as Grace has also just mentioned, Grace has mentioned that they've just got a mobile app. What we do is specifically starting at organizations that are doing development. Our services extend towards things like what we call penetration testing. What does that just mean in a simple nutshell? We check the resilience of your environment. We check to see that what vulnerabilities could potentially be there, and then how do we make sure that before it goes to market, it is in a secure state, because that in itself provides a level of trust. Also, what we do is there's things called ISO standards, right? These are international standards globally, and Zambia subscribes to them. Some of the standards that we apply is around security, it's around privacy, it's around business continuity. When you see an organization with such a certification, because they've gone through a rigorous process of making sure that the governance is in place, their risk management is being addressed, and they're compliant with not only regulations, but also different standards. So we've got things like Bank of Zambia frameworks that, the guidelines that must be there, especially in the financial institutes, they need to comply to these. We assist organizations with that. That shows a level of trust. So when a person now wants to engage and they can see that these organizations are investing heavily in cybersecurity, it raises the level of trust because you know the organization puts security first before anything else, instead of saying security will come right at the end. So as Digital Safe, some of our key things is around helping organizations. We give them advisory services around this. We assist in terms of testing the resilience of their applications and their infrastructure, because that as well gives us the confidence and the comfort that when you send your product out, our citizens are going to feel protected.
Great. Some people, Madam Grace, perceive stock markets as complex or exclusive. What steps is the organization making to ensure that to make investing more accessible and understandable to the Zambian people?
So I think, as you rightly put it, that is one of the stereotypes that we as the exchange are really fighting hard to kill. When it comes to investing, the cheapest share that we have is actually less than 1 kwacha, which means technically as long as you've got a 5 or a 10 kwacha in your pocket or in your mobile money wallet, you can become an investor. I alluded to this earlier, talking about how we need to make the exchange a lot more relatable. We have 21 listed companies, and I can assure you that either one of you on a daily basis probably interacts with one of those listed companies without even realizing it. How many of us walk into ShopRite? How many of us walk into Zambeef? We're all interacting with brands that we use daily. So why not become an owner of it as well? So we're really trying to push that message to say anybody can invest. As long as you've got a 10 kwacha in your mobile wallet, you're good to go. Even when you look at our programming, as we roll out more of our education programs, we are being a lot more intentional just to see how we can entice the youth. And that was also why we went into the digital space, just to see how do we integrate ourselves into the everyday lives of a youth. They're always on their phones. So we really thought, let's have the app doing that. We're now looking at getting into the more previously disadvantaged, the people in the rural communities. How do we let them know? Because there is money in the rural communities. And we're trying to see how to make our programming in local languages so that people can understand that, listen, this is not just for those who speak English in town. Even me, with my 50 kwacha, with my 100 kwacha, I can be part of the story. So you will see as time goes on and as we roll out these investor programs and financial literacy programs, a more intentional push towards making the exchange more relatable. Yeah.
Wonderful. Mark, what role is the organization playing in shaping national safety financial digital platforms and initiatives?
So one of our key things also is to be able to contribute to policy. We stand in a very, I want to say, a beneficial spot because as we're pushing digital transformation, financial inclusion, we also want to be able to push security. We want to be able to make sure that organizations understand their role when it comes to protecting the information of our citizens. So from a national perspective, we engage in a lot of the conversations. We make sure that we're involved in conversations with the likes of ZICTA, ICTUS. In fact, this week, we've got the ICTUS that's happening in Livingston, and we are making sure that we contribute to that. We have to be able to make sure that our policies as well are strengthening not only just institutes, but the nation as a whole. And we are able to compete on a global market. Mm-hmm. So even with the like of, let's say, for example, AI, we're making sure that we're in the forefront of those conversations. Data protection, we make sure that we're in the forefront of those conversations from a policy perspective. What should organizations do? What should they have in place as a mandate to ensure that they're protecting information? So we contribute to those conversations. So policy making, we're involved in those, especially from an education standpoint as well. That's the second layer that we go in, is speaking from a curricular perspective. How do we make sure that even our education system is speaking towards security first? Because if you've got that embedded, as I said, from a grassroots perspective, then it means that even the behaviors will adapt to that. And at the point when now they're interacting with a lot of these investment platforms and financial platforms, they're already practicing these behaviors.
Yeah.
So it's things like making sure that your passwords are kept up to date.
Yeah.
You're making sure that it's a strong enough password. You're using things like multi-factor authentication, right? So making sure that these conversations are at the forefront from a national, so policy perspective, curricula, education perspective.
Okay, and in rural areas, how are you doing it? Because there are some cases where I'm sure even up to now, people receive messages to say you have received money.
100%, 100%. So even in rural areas, what we try to do is our campaigns. So we have a lot of social media campaigns. We also have a lot of cybersecurity campaigns. So for us, again, I think Grace mentioned that this is not a once-off thing.
Yeah.
So for us, this is our bread and butter.
Yeah.
It's how do we reach out to the people who, again, don't speak English like us. So even our social media campaigns and even our drives, when it comes to talking about digital literacy, when it comes to talking about cyber hygiene, we try to make sure that it's relatable. We try to also make sure it's within a language that speaks to them. So whether it's in Bemba, if it's in Nyanja, you know, so we try to say, how can this be relatable to them? And then the other drive that we have is within communities, right? Because we are an organization and it's very difficult to go into a space and tell people what to do. But what does it mean? Engage with the people who are thriving in the community. There's the small business owners that are thriving in the community. They're the ones who can be able to share the message across to the rest of the community. So collaborations and partnerships with small business owners in these communities to be able to relay the message. They become ambassadors because we can't do it alone. It cannot just be one organization, two organizations, or even 10 organizations trying to drive cybersecurity and trying to drive the message of protecting of people's information, but it's the small business owners who become ambassadors. So we create those partnerships and collaborations in small communities.
Okay, Madam Grace, as we come to the end of the program, what is your message to the Zambian people, even as we commemorate Financial Literacy Week?
Okay, I have a very simple message, which hopefully everybody is going to take away from this week and implement in their everyday lives. Please do your research. Before you invest in any financial instrument, any investment scheme, do your research. Find out who is behind the money. Where are they taking your money? Are the returns making sense? And do as much research as you can before you part with your hard-earned money. Because remember, a smart investor is an informed investor.
Okay, Mark, what is your message to the people out there as we commemorate Financial Literacy Week?
I think my last message would be very similar to like what Grace has said. So do your research,
Yeah.
but most importantly is behave securely online. What that means is know what you're interacting with, understand the information that you're sharing, and also understand how you're protecting it. Because just as the theme is talking about smart money talks, I really want to believe that secure data works.
Yeah.
And if you secure your data, you'll be able to secure your future.
Great. Thank you so much for coming through to Money Matters program.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Viewers, we have heard financial literacy among citizens continues to play a vital role to help people protect their money as well as secure their future. Financial Literacy Week is yet another opportunity for all of us to do our part and collectively amplify the financial literacy narrative in order to illuminate the path to financial prosperity while ensuring a brighter and more secure future for our country as well as its people. On behalf of the entire Zanis production team, this has been Faith Katai. Thank you for watching.